I think NXT shouldn't just be labeled as developmental. I think it is a viable third brand.
What's the match from NXT that you are most known for?
I'd say me and Tommaso in New Orleans is a big one.
How close were you to re-signing?
I made up my mind months prior that I needed to take a break.
How did you know it was time to go back?
I just kind of felt it when I left. I always felt like I had unfinished business in WWE.
Is there more that you need to accomplish?
Yeah, I came back to WWE for a reason. I still want to be Intercontinental Champion. I haven't done that yet. I haven't won a title on the main roster yet. I want to do that too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're back.
We're doing this.
We're back. This isn't our normal interview time.
It's usually WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, so it's Royal Rumble weekend.
That's right.
So
I was thinking about this. We've done interviews at like every different stage of your career.
yeah, pretty much.
Because if we go way back, the very first time we met and did an interview was, I think it was 2011.
I was trying to think of the exact time.
Pro
when we
Wrestling
met.
Ohio.
Yeah. 2011 sounds right.
I think it was, yeah.
So I know we did. So 2011, and we'll mark that date.
Yeah.
And then is that all we did on the Indies, or we do other ones on the Indies too?
I think we did one other one on the Indies.
Okay, and then I distinctly remember the one WrestleMania weekend at our house.
Yeah.
It was on like our like patio.
You know what's
thing,
funny?
and Tommaso was inside.
He didn't even remember that.
I know he doesn't. He has a horrible memory.
And he's like, no, you came to my house? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you and Johnny were living together.
Yeah.
We went on. He's like, what? I said,
Yeah.
hold on, let me pull up the video. You're in the video. I'm in the video?
Yeah, it was the morning of. Was it the morning of that takeover, or was it the morning after that takeover?
I think it was the morning. Oh, geez.
I can't remember now. I think it had to be the morning after.
I think
right?
so.
That sounds
I
about
feel like
right.
you'd be too busy
I'd probably be
otherwise.
busy, right? Yeah. So,
But he's like, what do you mean I was there? I'm like,
Mhm.
look at this video.
Yeah.
This is you.
that's when me, Candace, and Tommaso all lived together. Like me and Candace got married, and we moved to Orlando.
Yeah.
And Tommaso moved in with us. We all moved there.
Yeah.
So for our first like 2 years in Orlando, it was just the three of us living together.
And wasn't that like a building where all of the superstars were living?
So that was like 5 minutes away from the
It
performance
was like
center.
a big dorm room.
Yeah. So like, it was a big apartment complex. It was the closest one to the performance center. And we pretty much, you go to that gym or you go to the pool, and it'd just be whoever's in NXT at the time there.
Wow. Then we did an interview in New Orleans. Remember we did in the lobby of the hotel?
Yep.
And then we did one when you were NXT champion.
Yeah. So that means we did one the year after me and Tommaso had our match in New Orleans the
Yeah.
next day. I don't know how I was
That's
physically
right.
capable of doing that. I was probably beat to heck. So we did that. And then obviously the night after winning the NXT championship too. So again, WrestleMania weekend was our sticking point.
And then we did one also WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, when I was a free agent.
And when you were a free agent.
Yeah.
Like, so literally every stage of your
Yeah.
career. And here we
Now
are
we're back.
again.
Yeah.
And now you're back.
Yeah. Not WrestleMania weekend though.
No,
but
yeah, well.
we're in WrestleMania season.
That's right.
The season.
Yeah, the road to WrestleMania. We
Yeah.
are on the road to WrestleMania. We might do this at WrestleMania.
Be good. Yeah,
Who
I'm free.
knows?
I think. Who knows? We'll see what's going on.
We don't know. Anything
is possible.
Anything could happen in the WWE.
Yeah, it is true. That is what I've heard.
When we did the last interview, you were so content with just like, yeah, like life's good.
Yeah,
Like,
I still am that way.
Yeah.
Life is still great. And again, it's different now because you fresh dad. So
yes,
like you are a fresh dad.
Yeah,
like fresher dad.
Oh, 8 months old.
So those first few weeks and few months are tiresome, as I'm sure.
I remember asking you, I was like, how much, like, what do you think's the most amount of sleep you've had in a night? You're like, 2 hours? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and luckily he's a
get
good
it.
sleeper. He's a good sleeper. So he sleeps pretty good, especially now. He's almost 2 years old, which is crazy to think back to that 8-month-old time period.
Yeah.
And I still like have moments where I look back on my phone and I see pictures and videos and I'm like, I can't believe this is him now because he just looks like he looks the same, but just an entirely different person.
It's just amazing. I mean, everyone tells you beforehand.
I think we had that conversation where I pretty much said like everyone's going to tell you it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I know it's going to change my life. But when it happens and you're living in it, you're like, oh, it actually does.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you're traveling and you're gone, you're looking at videos and pictures on your phone and you miss your kid and you never thought you'd be that way.
Yeah.
But when you have one, it's like, oh, it's true.
And I'm not away nearly as often as you are. I'm on the road maybe 2 or 3 times a month. I think what's been the hardest is now she's recognizing who I am and she's recognizing I'm her dad and I'm there every day.
Uh-huh.
Like we just FaceTime before you got here. And like when she heard my voice, she was like she's not speaking yet.
Yeah.
But she knows it's me.
Yep.
And that's what's been tough is before you're leaving this baby that cries and eats and sleeps, and that's it.
Yep.
Now you're leaving this like person.
Oh yeah.
You know, like and they're your person and you're theirs.
And that just keeps, not to make it gets worse and worse.
Oh, thank you.
It doesn't get better.
Great.
It doesn't get better because he's getting Quill's getting way more advanced now. And me and Candace talk about how he's almost 2. He turns 2 next month. That it's like someone turned a dial up on him like to 11 now, because immediately, just overnight, he just started like copying cadence of words and speaking more and being more aware of what's going on and how he wants Dada and like he wants mom and he wants to read books and he wants to do his thing. Christmas morning, it was very apparent that like we have such a set regimen where he wakes up and he gets like a bottle or he goes and sits at the table and he eats his food. Christmas morning, we get all this stuff and we're like, Christmas is going to be great. He's going to kind of know what's going on, but not really.
Yeah.
We buy all these presents. We set it all up near the tree. We're like, it's going to be a big reveal when he walks on the steps. Me and him walk down the steps. He walks on the steps. He grabs my finger and he's like, okay, let's just go sit at the table now. Didn't even care.
Wow.
There were a bunch of presents underneath the tree. He's like, I just want to go sit and eat now. So he sat down and ate. And normally Christmas, we open all our stuff up in the morning and Christmas is done. That year, it took from, I'm going to say, 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. of just like, we're going to open some gifts now, man. Let's go open some gifts. And open a gift. I'm like, okay, I'm done doing that now. So it took literally all day of opening gifts. We had to get to the point where like, okay, just open this really quick, man. But again, that he's his own person now who wants what he wants and he likes what he likes.
Yeah.
And
next Christmas may be very different.
That's the thing.
Right?
So that's what I've heard. Like when they turn around 3 is when they really start to understand what Christmas is and what's happening. And so I'm very excited for that.
Are you wearing Quill around your neck?
I am, yes. So that's a nice Easter egg. Nice Easter egg there. So I literally wear this. You can catch it on Raw. You can catch it on any backstage I do, anything where I'm not in wrestling gear. I wear a Quill feather as a kind of a little shout out to him that one day he will appreciate.
Oh, that's a really cool way.
Thank
Instead
you.
of like just having his name and it's a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah.
When we talked last, did you know where you were going to end up?
I had an idea. Like I always had an idea, you know. When people ask me all the time, like, did you think about going other places? Obviously, we all entertain the idea. But when I left, I always felt like I had unfinished business in WWE. And when the conversations were being had, it was one of those things where when I was a little kid growing up, I watched WWE. I dreamed of wrestling at WrestleMania. I dreamed of becoming Intercontinental Champion. All these things I said in my return promo, pretty much. They're all very real, very true. Those are very real dreams I still do have to this day. And I can only do that one place. And I am very lucky to call WWE my home because it felt like you watched my last night in the company. It was sad for me because I spent so much time in NXT around those people. I saw them almost every single day for almost 7 years. And I wasn't going to have that anymore. And that was my own choice because I felt like I needed to move on. And I needed that time away to be with Candace, to be with the baby, and just step away from wrestling for a bit and just recharge. But luckily, everything worked out. And I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And we're back.
We'll get back to the conversation in just a second. So every year, I put it on my bucket list to learn a new skill. This year, I'm learning a new language. I'm learning Spanish. Thanks to Babbel. Babbel is the science-based language learning app that actually works. And it works because it's designed by real people for real conversations that you'd actually have. So I probably should have learned Spanish a long time ago. I mean, I moved to Miami in 2014. I live in California now. I hear it all the time. And the cool thing about Babbel is they're giving you these tips and tricks that are actually based in like real world situations. They're not just giving you random words to learn. So they're giving you real words that you can use in an actual conversation. So I'm only a few weeks into this, but it's working for me and I know it's gonna work for you too. So if learning a new language was on your bucket list for 2024 or ever on your bucket list, check out this special limited time deal. When you go to babbel.com/CVV, you'll get 50% off your one-time payment for a lifetime membership. That's 50% off when you go to babbel.com/CVV, BABBEL.com/CVV. Rules and restrictions apply.
I feel like your contract coming up at the time that it did, like happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Think about how
crazy.
That's so unique, right?
Crazy,
like,
man.
you get to be there while Quill's growing up.
Yeah, people say all the time that I had like insane like galaxy brain, or I was like he had his contract growing up at that time, then everything went down, then he came back. Like, it's crazy the foresight he had. It's like, no, I'm incredibly lucky, but also I'm incredibly patient as well. I wasn't in a position where I was luckily in a position where my contract was coming up and Quill was being born, and we talk about it all the time. If Quill wasn't in the picture, if the baby wasn't being born, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
I could have re-signed. I could have just stayed with the baby. I could have upped my contract. And Quill, luckily at the time, was being born. So it gave me the opportunity to kind of be at home and hang out with him and be around for those first, I'd say, 6 months, which are very important, as you know.
Yeah. How close were you to re-signing? Because it was December 2021 when your contract ended.
Yeah, I made up my mind way earlier that, like, and again, like, people always try to count down to like what was going on in NXT at the time. Johnny wanted to leave or they were forcing Johnny out. No, I made up my mind months prior that I needed to take a break and I needed to leave just for myself. And again, like, we knew the baby was coming too. And that kind of, I already had it in my mind, but that really kind of nailed my decision home. And they wanted to keep me, and they were very generous. They wanted to have me stick around NXT, stick around the WWE family and things like that. And I appreciated the offer, but at the same time, they appreciated the fact that I told them, like, look, like, if anything else happens, if I decide I want to go somewhere else, I will come to you guys and let you guys know first, because I feel we have a great relationship. So I did tell them that if I decided to go anywhere else, I would give them the opportunity to match or opportunity to make a counteroffer if that would come up.
Did it come up?
No, I did not even try. Like I said, I was so outside the realm of focusing on wrestling.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have an agent and I have people around me that go and do that for me. Because I told my agent, I told everyone around me, like, look, I want to focus on being a dad. You can go and you can talk to people, you can have those discussions. I do not want to, because I want to be so far removed away from wrestling and so far removed from that side of things.
Yeah.
That's like the business side that I'm like, I don't want to dig into that stuff. And like Candace was a free agent too at the time.
Yeah.
So we were both just sitting at home and enjoying being a mom and dad for the first time. And it's so very rare we get that opportunity.
I remember reaching out to you that summer because I was in Orlando and I'm like, dude, I'd love to do a workout video with you. And you're like, I'm not really in shape right now. I'm like, what do you mean you're not in shape right now?
No, I was so far away. And that was like, I'm a fat kid at heart. So to be able to have that time period and not worry about dieting and exercise and people are going to see me and they'll be like, oh man, he doesn't work out. Trust me. I say this, I have horrible genetics. I have the worst genetics in the world. I have to diet so incredibly hard and work out so incredibly hard for what I do have. So, like, doing that for, I'd say at that point, 15 years, I was just like, I want a break. Because I've been very lucky. Again, knock on wood. I haven't had any surgeries. I haven't had any major injuries. I've been pretty much going nonstop for, at that point, probably 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
So I just wanted time off.
The before and after photos are actually what really got me inspired to work with AJ Sims at Cement Factory.
Yep.
I wanted to get in the best shape of my life for 40. And he works with a lot of like bodybuilders, like jack dudes, right?
So I went and I worked out with AJ at his house when Raw was
at the dump, right?
At the dump. And AJ is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
He is a magician on what he's able to do.
Yeah.
But the other guys in his house that are working out, I'm like, come on, guys, this ain't fair.
I couldn't relate to any of his other clients. And then I saw your before and after and I went, oh, we're like relatively the same size. If Johnny could do that in only 16 weeks, what could I do?
And you look fantastic, too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Probably not anymore, but I did for that like little brief period of time.
I mean, the cereal's fun. The cereal's fun to eat.
Everyone talks
How
about
much cereal did you have? Did you have a lot?
It was just post-workout.
Yeah.
Did you 2 cups?
That's not bad.
Yeah. You?
Yeah. I'm at 300 grams of cereal now on my high days.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
guess I would have been close to that. I don't know how many grams are in a cup.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just go on what he tells me.
Yeah, I remember reaching out to you and I'm like, is it difficult? And you're like, no, he tells you what to eat. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You're like, no, every meal is accounted for.
Yep.
And that was like, that took all the guesswork out of it.
And I've done like counting my macros and doing things like that many times in my career. But it is so handy to just have someone else just handle that for me.
It reminded me of like getting like when you're building IKEA furniture. Like if you don't do step 3, then you can't do step 4. If you don't do step 4, you can't do step 5. he breaks it down for you. This is meal one with this amount of this and this amount of this and this many grams of this. He's just laying it out for you.
Yeah.
All it takes then is discipline. Mm-hmm. That's the only other ingredient that you need to add in. Yep. He's basically saying, here's the framework. It's up to you to follow it.
To be fair, discipline is hard.
Really hard. Because cookies are delicious.
But like I'm sure Tommaso talked about this with you, but when we were dieting down for TakeOver New Orleans, we were starving ourselves. Like we were like eating probably like under 2,000 calories. We were very depleted. With AJ, he makes it so easy to where you don't feel hungry, right? You're getting leaner, but you're not starving. And that's the most important thing, especially with what we do, where we're very active and very physical. Like I never feel like I'm starving when I'm going to bed at night.
I remember seeing the breakdown and being like, "That I can't. How can I eat that much food?
It's a lot of food, right?
It was way more food than I'm going to lose weight by eating all that food.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's a magician. Man.
He is absolutely a magician. I've talked about him with you, Tommaso. I just had Moose on.
Yeah, I feel like he is just working wonders around the wrestling industry right now.
I mean, if somebody wants to dial it in, he's the guy.
Yep.
He's the guy you go to, and I'm super grateful for what he was able to do for me. And it just made me also realize what I was possible, what was possible for me.
Yeah.
And like when you see you in the ring, like I feel like you don't have an 8-pack. You have like, I don't know, there's many abs.
I think I'm I say my genetics suck, but I, for some reason, have really good ab genetics.
Yeah.
Like I talk to Candace all the time. Candace has like really good genetics where she doesn't have to work out that much, but she still has like great shoulders and stuff.
Yeah.
I just have good abs. So hopefully one day Quill is blessed with my abs and Candace is everything other thing. Like my ultimate goal, like just my abs and maybe like a little bit of my wrestling brain and everything else. Like, he can have Candace's side because I say all the time, like if you can because Candace's dad is really tall.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, if he's like over 6 foot, we got some magic in us. But everyone's like, oh, he's gonna be a wrestler. I'm like, Cleveland Browns starting quarterback. That's my goal here.
How are we feeling about the Browns?
Outside of maybe one of the top 5 saddest losses I've ever experienced, just because the hype was so high.
Yeah.
I felt so good going into that game.
Yeah.
And then we just got crushed.
I thought like the score at halftime, like, this is not good.
Me and Vic Joseph always watch the games together, and we're like there's Mackenzie and Candace both post videos because we're both up the whole time. We never sit down during the games ever. We're pacing all over the place. We're going nuts. That game, by halftime, we were both sitting down pretty sad.
Not a good sign.
No. If you see me and Vic sitting down, never good.
What's amazing, though, is like there's things that happen every season that are so inherently things that happen to the Browns.
Mm.
And I've been a Browns fan since I moved to Cleveland in 2010, just because, you grew up in Toronto, you don't have an NFL team.
Yep.
I moved there. And the thing I love about Cleveland is it's not if you're watching the game on Sunday. It's where are you watching the game on Sunday? Are you going? Are you going to a bar? Are you going to someone's house? And I just got so like ingratiated into this world. So then, the Browns have some issues at quarterback. And then they're like, Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
He's going to be our guy. And then he starts to play and you're like, he is our guy.
It was to be around for Flacco fever. That 5-week stretch of everyone being wacko for Flacco was incredible to see. Because it was like, man, Joe Flacco, like, that's where we're at. And then he like plays and we're like, okay, maybe he still got it. And then he's, for some reason, the best quarterback I've ever seen play for the Browns since 1999. Like, literally, he is slinging that ball. And I'm like, I've never seen throws like this in my life as a Browns fan.
Yeah.
So, like, I was so confident after watching him play. And we went to the Thursday night game where they clinched the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the energy in that building was insane. Everyone in the stadium chanting, Flacco, Flacco. Like, that just shows you, if you are a good quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, you are made in that city for life.
But that's insane because Flacco was an opponent for so long in the same division.
Yeah.
And now he was our guy.
He's our guy.
He's probably not our guy next season.
No,
right?
probably not. I mean, I hope they do bring him back, even if it's in a backup role. I'm sure he's going to want to be a starter somewhere. I do have a Joe Flacco jersey now. I
saw that.
I do. I have a Joe Flacco jersey. I got a Joe Flacco autographed card from his Browns debut. I went all in. I was like, screw it. I'm going to go all in. Because it's such a cool story, too, that like this guy came off the street. He just was throwing the ball to his kids in the parking lot. And then he's like just starting in for the Browns and they're doing great. Yeah. They're playing well. Like it was such a great story. And like for me as a Browns fan, I was like, that's what it's going to take, right? Like we've had all these years of horrible stuff happen and like all these injuries this year, everything we have to overcome. And Joe Flacco coming off the street. I was like, this is going to be the year that we finally do something because everything went wrong. And then, it did. but still.
So I got a lot of messages from people asking, how is it possible that you can bet on WWE PLEs at MyBookie? I mean, it's scripted. How can you bet on something that's scripted? So look, I don't know the logistics behind it, but I do know that when you go to mybookie.ag, not only can you bet on WWE, you can bet on the UFC, boxing, you can bet on Jake Paul's next fight, you can bet on the NBA, you can bet on everything there. And I do know that when you sign up using the promo code CVV, you'll get a 50% bonus on your first deposit. So put in $100, now you've got $150. Put in $200, now you've got $300. You get the point. So if you're already picking the winners of these WWE events, why not make a little bit of money while you're at it? Use that promo code CVV and MyBookie.
There was a moment where they're talking about how he's like later on in his career, he's an older guy. And I'm like,
he's only 38.
He's younger than me. And he's like a little older than you, but I'm like, does that mean we're old?
Yeah, I think it does.
If we're quarterbacks, I guess we're kind of old.
Yeah, I think that's football age and wrestling age is different than like real life age. But
yeah,
and wrestling age is different now too, because like you look at AJ, you look at Randy, guys like that, they're freaking yoked to the gills.
Those guys are in their 40s, look great. Then you've got guys in their 50s who are still working. Chris Jericho, PCO,
yeah.
It's a different time.
I always said that I was going to be done by 40. That was always my go-to age. And then as we get closer to that, and I'm still 4 years away, but as we get closer to that, I'm like, I think I got a little bit more in me. We'll see.
Is there more that you think you need to accomplish?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I came back to WWE for a reason. And obviously, like there were discussions to go other places. And like my agent obviously had those discussions. But at the end of the day, I told him my heart was with WWE. Like I still want to wrestle at WrestleMania. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I still want to be Intercontinental Champion. Haven't done that yet. I haven't won a title on the main roster yet. I want to do that too. There's still a lot left for me to accomplish and a lot of stories I still want to tell. And I'm very excited to do that. And like I said, the last night in the company was very sad. And I think, like you said, Tommaso brought up my tears and where they came from in that show. And in a story I think I've only told maybe once before. But I have such a great relationship, and I'm very lucky, and it's crazy to say, with Shawn Michaels. He was my hero growing up, and I spent a lot of time with him. And I made these shadow boxes for people that were really special to me in that building. Like I made a shadow box for Shawn. I made a shadow box for Coach Bloom. And I gave cards to all the coaches, everything. Everyone I spent 7 years with, Terry Taylor, Steve Corino, people like that. I gave them special cards and stuff of pictures of us together. Because my last night did feel like it was like a goodbye for a while. And it was funny, I say a goodbye for a while, but I was literally still going to the Performance Center with Candace. We brought the baby to the Performance Center like literally like 2 months later, or maybe like 3 months later, or whatever. But like, so I had that gift for Shawn. It's a shadow box. It had my headband from a takeover. He's the only person other than me that has a piece of my takeover gear. Like, because I did it for In Your House, where I was like kind of the Shawn Michaels of my Shawn Michaels gear.
Yeah.
So I had that headband put in a shadow box. Again, I luckily have a great wife that helps me with these things, by the way, because I'm not making shadow boxes by myself. I have like the headband with a picture of me and Shawn from when I was in high school, and a picture of me and Shawn in that gear from that takeover in the house. And I wrote like a really nice note on the back. Shawn actually has it hanging up in his office. If you see any interviews he does where he's at his desk, it's actually behind him in the
that's
his office,
awesome,
which is cool. So I brought this gift to him, and I said, I'm going to give you this gift, but there's a catch. You can't open it until I'm getting ready to go through the curtain, because I want to be emotional out there, and you're going to be the one that's going to give me that emotion. Like I'm going to see how this affects you, and it's going to transfer to me, and I'm going to go through the curtain right when that happens. And literally, I give him the gift, and Road Dogg is counting down the time. He's like, "Okay, Johnny, give him the gift." And literally, like we're in commercial break, and Road Dogg's like, "Okay, 30, 29," and Shawn opens it up. And Shawn looks at it, and he starts getting really emotional, and he hugs me. And of course, like I get emotional. Then my music starts playing. So when I walk through that curtain, you're seeing literally the direct reaction of me feeling that moment, but also giving that gift to Shawn and seeing how it affected him. And just that's me walking through the curtain for my last time at NXT for then. And then, there you got it.
And then you start cutting that promo, and you get emotional during the promo too.
Yeah.
It truly felt like it was coming from your heart.
It is. I mean, like I said, I put so much of my heart into that company, into NXT in general, for years of my life. That place was incredibly special to me. I thanked the writing team. I thanked the coaches. I thanked everyone in that locker room because it's such an incredible place to be in for so long. And like I said, it still holds a special place in my heart. I still do go to the Performance Center sometimes. And it's just that moment and be able to cut that promo, which is crazy too when you think about that. When you think about the fact that they gave me that moment to go on live television with a microphone and I wasn't under contract anymore the next day.
Wow.
Like I literally could have said whatever I wanted in that moment.
Wow.
But I have such a great relationship with everyone. I wasn't going to do anything crazy, obviously. But like I said, that just speaks to the trust we all have with each other in that building.
Not everybody gets to say goodbye.
No.
Actually, that's pretty rare.
Yeah,
to be able to say goodbye.
And that was a big thing for Sean too, as he said, like, look, like we're going to try to give you what you deserve on the way out because you do deserve it. And I had many conversations with Sean when I was leaving. And I basically told him, like, look, I got to go and I got to, I want to help raise the baby and I want to be there around for that. And I just want to try and do other things for a while, right? Like I've been here for so long. I've been here for 7 years. I just want to step outside here and I want to be on Twitch and I want to, do these appearances and see what the world's like out there for a little bit, just to not be on call. That was the most important thing for me for that period, was to not be under contract and not be on call, not be told like, oh, hey, we need you to go to this city or we need you to go do this, just to control my own schedule, especially with the baby and with Candace, and just be around as much as possible.
You didn't wrestle anywhere else, right?
Never. Yeah.
Like not even a match back in Ohio or something.
No. And that was, it was tempting. Obviously, there was many offers.
Yeah.
As soon as I opened that booking email up for appearances, many people hit me up, and they threw a lot of big numbers out there to get me to have one match. And I was just like, I don't want to do it. I can't do it because for me, I was like, it's got to be special, right? It's got to be something that. And if I am taking a break from wrestling, I gotta stick to the break.
Yeah.
I can't just go and start wrestling on the indies and stuff like that. Even though I am an indie kid at heart, and I would love to do that again one day. I just did those signings, and those signings too were so cool because I didn't get a chance to do. I did some of them in NXT, but like to be able to be out there and be at WrestleMania weekend and see like a line go around WrestleCon and like people be so excited to meet me. You really start to see your effect you had on people and what the stories I was able to tell in NXT, how they affected certain people, and it was very cool to see. And I was very lucky for that. I'm very lucky that I was able to support myself just doing signings for so long, which is pretty crazy when you think about that as well.
How long do you think it took until you finally felt like you could like take a breath and like relax? Like the schedules go for so long and then it comes to an end so quickly.
I was pretty okay immediately after that. Like as soon as I did my last night in NXT and I left, and like literally it was funny. Like I did my last night in NXT and then I think my contract was coming up on that like Friday. And so I did my last night in NXT, and then that was Tuesday. And then like they had like a heart test because they test our hearts to make sure everything's okay while you're under contract. And like that was there. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my heart tested. And I was great, still all good. So I got that done. And there was like the NXT Christmas party on Friday. So my last official night in NXT was at the NXT Christmas party. And then like they were so great to me. Like they said, like, look, like you'll always have a home here. Like if you need anything. If you need medical, if you need any, like if you're hurt, if you're feeling whatever, come to the PC. We'll take care of you. Doesn't matter if you're on a contract or not.
Wow.
And so, like I said, it's just I have such a great relationship with people there.
How did you know it was time to go back?
I just kind of felt it. Like it felt like that's where the wind was blowing, and I've had such a great relationship with Hunter. Like I can't say enough great things about Hunter and Sean. Like it's gonna make it sound like I'm just going on and on about Hunter and Sean, which I am. I will. I have such a great relationship with them, like so much so that I always kept in contact with them. Even when I was gone, the day Quill was born, I got a text from Hunter. I got a text from Sean.
Wow.
Like unprovoked. Like they just saw that Quill was born. They reached out, like said, congratulations, keep in touch. And Hunter literally said when Quill was born, he's like, I can't wait to meet him. Like I'm very excited. And I literally said that day, I was like, do me a favor though, when you meet him, you do the finger point picture, okay? And he said, you got it. It'd be my honor. So, like I said, I enjoy them so much as human beings that I just really wanted to work with them again. And when the opportunity came up where the world changed and everything went down, Sean reached out to me and said, hey, are you open to coming back? And I'd say I definitely, talk about it. And literally maybe a couple hours later, Hunter called me.
Wow.
And then we had a conversation, and then he talked to my agent, and like things were in motion really, really quickly. Because then like he wanted Candace back as well, and then it was just one of those things. Like, is Candace ready?
Yeah.
I'm like, am I ready? And I wanted time to get ready too because I wasn't ready to come back yet, so I needed to get in shape really, really quickly and things like that. But everything happened so fast, and it's like people ask me like, why? Like, he's like, literally, I think there was a Cleveland show, and then like 2 weeks later, I came back. And they're like, why didn't you come back in Cleveland? It's because literally I wasn't under contract yet. Those things are still being discussed. And luckily, it was fun to come back in Toronto because everyone expected Cleveland.
Yeah.
And to be able to come back in Toronto in a building I've wrestled in before and have it be an absolute surprise.
Yeah.
Like no one knew. The only people that knew I was back in the company, and to be fair, I wasn't even officially under contract yet. Terms were agreed upon and I was ready to go, but I wasn't officially back yet. Luckily, like it was kept under, that's luckily the way it was kept under wraps too, is I think only people that knew was like me, my agent, Candace, and I think Hunter, and maybe like one other person in TR. And that was it.
Yeah, there's very few surprises in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And the fact that you came out unadvertised, no rumors, your music just hits out of a commercial break.
That's so funny too, is like people always talk about the reaction. And it's like people are like, oh man, why didn't they should have gave him a much better return. I'm like, that's the reaction that's awesome about it, is like, it's out of commercial.
Yeah.
It's not built up at all.
Yeah.
Like literally the music hits.
Yeah.
People are like, wait a minute, that kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Then my name comes up on the Tron. They're like, wait a minute, what's happening? And then I walk out and people are like, oh, and like Big Johnny Wrestling chants and things like that. And it was just such a cool moment to be able to have, like, to keep that a secret and make that happen. And Candace's too. Candace was also kept a secret. Like no one knew that me and Candace were at the Performance Center together training, like getting her ready to come back from having a child. So yeah, it's just, we're incredibly lucky and incredibly cool that everything worked out the way it did.
Do you think there's still a place for you if you went back to NXT? Like I feel like you could really lift the roster there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like my goal, and I think everyone else's goal, and we've said it for years, and I think NXT shouldn't just be labeled as developmental, right? I think it is a viable third brand. I think there are developmental aspects of it. I think people are learning. I think should be an influx of new talent all the time from different walks of life. I think they should come from the indies. They should come from pro sports. They should come from college. They should come from people that just want to wrestle. Like I think it should come from all different realms. If they're talented, they're talented. At the end of the day, like there's no question there. It doesn't matter where you come from. So I do think there is still a spot for me in NXT one day. I said I still have so much unfinished business here on Raw, and so many things I do want to accomplish and make happen. But at the end of the day, NXT will always be in my heart. And whenever I can go back there and visit that place, it is an incredible experience.
What do we got to do to get you a title shot on the main roster?
Well, I have one coming soon. This weekend, DIY tag team titles against Judgment Day.
Incredible.
I know.
And let's get you a U.S. title shot.
Yeah.
Cleveland versus Cleveland.
That is true, Logan Paul.
Why is this feels like a storyline?
It does, right?
This feels like it needs to happen.
You never know. We'll see.
He's from the West Side, right?
Yeah, I'm from the West Side too, though.
Well, you're Lakewood?
No, so Wikipedia lies.
This is going to be the third time in the last probably 2 months that we've corrected Wikipedia on the podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Wikipedia is a liar. Everyone always asks me, "Are you born in Lakewood?" I'm like, no.
Okay.
I was literally born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, so let's correct that now. This will be now the third time.
I went to high school in Lakewood.
Okay.
Because I went to St. Ed's High School. Dolph Ziggler also went to St. Ed's.
The big wrestling high school.
Yes. Phil Donahue also went there. Not a wrestler, but he was there.
What a throwback. What a reference.
Yeah. So I was born, and I'm like, so like, I'd say when people ask me like, what part of Cleveland are you from? I'm like probably like 5 minutes from downtown. So the bad part of Cleveland.
Like Tremont? Like where are we talking?
So my mom's house was in Tremont.
So you're pretty close to like
Ohio City, like things like
the Christmas Story house.
Yes, love the Christmas Story house.
That's really close to where you grew up then.
Yes. So I literally visit the Christmas Story house every Christmas Eve without fail. Every single year I have to go back. And that's like my tradition. And Candace probably hates it by now. We literally, like this past Christmas, woke up at like 7 a.m. because the Browns were playing on Christmas Eve. So that throws a wrench into things a bit too. Because you got to watch the Browns.
Of course.
The Browns were playing at 1. So it was like, here's what we're going to do. Here's our Christmas Eve. We woke up at 7 a.m., went to the Christmas Story house right off the rip. Well, actually, no. We went to Brew Nuts first. Picked up a dozen donuts.
Amazing.
Went to the Christmas Story house. Went to the gift shop. Visited there. Then we're like, okay, we're going to go to Crocker Park and we're going to see Santa Claus. Because Quill hadn't seen Santa Claus yet. So we're like, okay, let's go. So we go to Crocker Park. And we go in line to meet Santa. And as we're in line to meet Santa, Quill like starts getting tired. We're like, oh no. You got to stay up, man. It doesn't work if you're sleeping. Like, we're not meeting Santa. Like, this isn't for us. He falls asleep. We're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I'm watching my clock. The Browns playing like 20 minutes. I'm like, we can't wait in this line anymore. We got to go. So we go home. We live in Avon now. We go home. We go and he's still sleeping. I watch the Browns. Santa's there until 5. So luckily it was a blowout that day against the Texans, which didn't end up any for us good at all.
Yeah.
So we went at like 4:30 and we took him back to meet Santa, and he saw Santa at like cutoff time. So
you're living in Avon now?
Yeah. So we live in Orlando.
Yeah.
But we also have a house in Avon too.
Oh.
So we split time here and there.
Yeah, that's smart. Like the family's there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Work is for the most part Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think Logan Paul's Westlake, right?
I think so.
He's just down the street from
He's
you.
also Puerto Rico too.
Actually, you're right. He lives in Puerto Rico.
I don't know how often he's in Westlake anymore.
Oh, it's like Puerto Rico and LA, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure his family's still in Westlake.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll run into him there.
Good point.
I don't know. What's the match from NXT that you think that you are most known for?
Probably I'd say me and Tommaso in New Orleans is a big one.
You guys worked that match so stiff, by the way.
Yeah. That's what you can do when you're wrestling your best friend, right? That's like what everyone says. When you're wrestling your friend, you can hit each other a little harder.
The stuff you guys do on the apron, like it's painful to watch.
Yeah, it hurts. It still, everyone's like, oh, magic tricks. No, it really does hurt. So that one, and then I always say 3. My match with Tommaso from New Orleans, my match with Andrade from TakeOver Philadelphia, and then my match with Adam Cole at TakeOver New York.
Those are your 3 match of the years, right?
I think so, yeah.
The fact that you have 3 NXT match of the years.
Yeah, very, very lucky. Had quite a run.
Oh, yeah. It's just luck. That's it. Yeah, it was just lucky. And how many 5-star matches do you have?
So I'm not I don't know if me and Tommaso got 2 of them. I know me and Andrade got 1. Me and Tommaso got 1 in New Orleans. Me and Adam Cole got 2. I don't know if our match in Chicago got another one. So either 4 or 5 is.
It's like 5 more than Kurt Angle,
which is stupid because Kurt Angle's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Kurt Angle's way better than me.
I think Shawn Michaels has 1.
Shawn Michaels is way better than me too.
Well,
there's a lot of people way better than me.
I don't know. It's pretty. Got a lot of 5-star matches.
And then again, I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the because Dave has been around forever. Meltzer's the man.
Yeah,
he's seen everything and he knows everything. But again, at the end of the day, it's all opinion. Wrestling is all opinion based too. Some people think I'm the best wrestler in the world. Some people think I'm the worst wrestler in the world. It's all subject to what you enjoy.
How do you deal with that? Because there are both ends of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, it sucks.
Because for every bunch of haters you have, or people that love you, there are those haters.
Oh yeah, especially me. I feel like I'm like a cog of like I collect all the vitriol and all the hatred just because like I am undersized. I guess I'm an average white guy. Like I'm working with what I got here. Like I think like I'm not super athletic. I guess I'm just negging myself like crazy right now. By the way, but like I don't have I myself don't have the best. And I'm probably talked to you about this too. My self-esteem is horrible. Like I hate all my own matches. I hate all my own work. So anything anyone tells me is bad, I'm like, yeah, it is bad. Like I just believe you, sure. Oh. You're not telling me anything I don't already know. And I think like I'm like an easy target for people to be like, that guy doesn't look like a wrestler. He's bad. Like, sure, I guess. But I think wrestlers, especially in 2024, can come in all different shapes and sizes. And I think what I do have is a very relatable factor to where people can see me. I think there's 2 types of stars. I think there are stars like The Rock. Where like, I want to be The Rock. Man, like, I would love to be The Rock one day. And there's people like me. They're like, I can see myself in Johnny Gargano. I could be Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I really have going for me. And trust me though, it does eat away. Because every good comment you have, people can tell you you're the best wrestler in the world. Like 15 people can say that match was amazing. But the one person that says you suck and like you have no charisma and whatever the heck else they're going to say to me, that's the thing that sticks with you. So like that's the thing you hear and you're kind of like, well, I try.
But also you're insanely jacked. You have great gear.
Yeah.
You do look like a wrestler.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I mean, it's just the truth.
Hey, but like to some people, that's not what a wrestler looks like, right? Wrestlers look like 6'5" and they look like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
They look like that. And like that's not me, and that's never going to be me. And it's just one of those things where I'm accepted this. I'm pretty comfortable with myself in this day and age.
Yeah.
But like,
what's your shoot weight?
My shoot weight? Probably like 180.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember ring announcing you in Cleveland. I'm like, what's your weight? You're like, what do I want to be today? How much did he say he was?
Yeah.
It was you versus Jimmy Jacobs.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's 199. You're like, I'm 201.
It all depends if I'm cutting down or not. If I'm bulking, I could probably be like 185, 190. But if I'm cutting down, if me and AJ are like cutting my calories and stuff, I can get to probably like 180.
Are you working with him year round?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I just enjoy having like a soundboard to bounce things off of.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this way, or I feel like I need to lean up a bit, or I need to get bigger. And I'm always going to perpetually try to get bigger. But like at 36 years old, like I've kind of hit my physical peak on what I can be without,
Really? Talk to AJ Styles.
Yeah, that's true.
That's insane.
But like, I feel like those guys also had like the luxury of like, they were off for a little bit, so they were able to really like focus on that. Like as a wrestler, like I feel like I'm either like trying to cut for TV, or I'm trying to like gain, but I'm like, oh, I'm getting fat, so I got to cut some more. If I had like a serious like year off, like that's why I think guys who get injured, who take time off, are really lucky in the aspect where they don't have to be on TV, so they don't have to be lean. So you can eat, and just like gain weight.
Yeah.
And then when it's time to cut, you cut, and you still are much bigger.
Yeah. What are you most proud of about Candice and the career that she's had in WWE?
I say all the time that Candice LeRae is my favorite wrestler, and I don't think she's scratched the surface on what she's able to actually be. I am incredibly excited for her future too. And and it's funny, like I mentioned all the time, like how my dream is still to wrestle at WrestleMania. Candice already did. She was in a battle royal at WrestleMania, so she already has that over me. She's wrestled at WrestleMania. She's done numerous Royal Rumbles. She's done Survivor Series. SummerSlam's the only one she hasn't done yet. So she's got me beat in a lot of aspects on what she's able to accomplish. But yeah, I mean, it's just so cool, honestly, to sit back as a very proud husband and just to know what she's capable of. Because obviously I work with her numerous times on the indies. I think that in ring, she's absolutely fantastic. And for Quill to be able to sit at home and watch mom and dad on TV is pretty cool, even though he falls asleep a lot. But
not because,
not because of our matches.
He's tired.
Because it's tired.
It's
right?
nap time.
It's really cool too. Like he has like an action figure of me, and whenever he like gets the action figure of me, he like looks at me and like shows it to me, like, this is you. Like every single time he does it, it's just so cool.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You came up at a really interesting time of indie wrestling when there was a lot of eyeballs on indie wrestling. We've talked about this before, but I remember talking to you years ago in Cleveland, and you're like, it's WWE or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And Impact TNA was doing the gut check at the time. And you're like, yeah, that's a really great idea, but I want to go to WWE.
Yep.
And it was interesting because you didn't have those opportunities for a while. Like you weren't getting looks from WWE and you weren't getting offers from them. And then all of a sudden it happened.
Yeah.
What do you think changed?
William Regal. That's always my go-to answer. I will always be the one to give William Regal his flowers. Because he was coming to indie shows at the time. He was going to PWG and he was seeing all of us. And I remember I literally wrestled Kevin Owens at a PWG show before Kevin got his WWE tryout. And Regal told me after that match, he's like, look, you'll be in WWE one day, but not yet. Like, you still need more time. Like, go out there, get more experience. Like, not get more experience, but also like just get older, just keep doing your thing. Like, when the time's right, you'll be there. Trust me. And literally, like, there was that tryout where it was a lot of indie guys. It was like me and Tommaso and Chuck Taylor and Drew Gulak and TM61 and Athena and like Riddle was there. And like, it was just all these guys. It was like a very much so, and Biff Busick. It was very much so like an indie tryout. And we all were like, oh, maybe we might get signed. And then we were told no. Like, me and Tommaso were both told no. And for some reason, like, at that tryout, me and Tommaso were paired together. We were in the same car. We were in the same hotel room. And we knew each other from the indies. We wrestled each other a few times, but we weren't super close. And then being put through that and being told no together. And then weeks later, like, Regal calling me and being like, hey, there's this Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. We want to put you and Tommaso in it. Like, are you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like, he's like, it's just a foot in the door. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then to just continually be brought back month after month, not being under contract, which is crazy at the time.
Yeah.
But like that was Regal's way to get us in. Is like he just found a small opening.
Yeah.
And he knew we would try to take advantage of that opportunity. And we did. And like you look years later to again go from both of us being told no to being in one of the hottest storylines in wrestling. And then 7 years later to be able to give that goodbye speech in that building, the same building that I had my tryout in, same building I was told no in. It just wrestling just changed as a whole too. Cause during that time period, indie guys wasn't the hot thing.
Yeah.
Like a couple of them were signed here and there, but the stigma of the indie guy got washed away after the Cruiserweight Classic and things like that. And many, many more guys were brought in.
Did you believe him when he told you you'd be in WWE one day?
I always believed I would.
Because that's also just a nice thing that someone says.
It is. But I've always trusted William Regal. Like he is always shot straight in everything he's done. And he enjoys just a certain style and a certain passion. And if he sees your passion and he sees and he feels it. And I always believed one day I would be in WWE. I didn't know how, I didn't know when. Obviously, again, I talked about how it was kind of a stigma to be an indie guy, but watching guys like Brian go there, watching Kevin go there and Sammy go there, like it felt like, okay, the wind's blowing in that direction. And luckily everything worked out.
And you got to keep your name.
Yeah.
and you got to keep Johnny wrestling.
Yeah. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Which that was all indie stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, that was inspired by Johnny Manziel, right?
Of course it was, yes.
I don't know if people remember this, but
they don't.
Johnny Football was a huge thing in Cleveland.
And literally it just spawned from a joke I made, like on Twitter. I was like, if Johnny Manziel can be Johnny Football, can I be Johnny Wrestling? And literally the next indie show I did, people were chanting Johnny Wrestling.
From a tweet.
And I was like, oh, this might be a thing. And it was at AIW.
Yeah.
But then like it happened at AIW. Then I went to a show in Buffalo and it happened in Buffalo. And I went to California and it happened in California. It just spawned because then I started making merch from it. And then the Johnny Wrestling thing just took off on its own. And it became my most marketable thing.
I still have that T-shirt you gave me at AIW.
There you go.
It's the white one with the
that was the original one. Yeah, that's the original one. And then like some people nowadays don't, like you said, don't even remember Johnny Football. Like Johnny Wrestling has superseded that was even a thing.
Wow, yeah. Wow. Was there ever talk of like, we know this is your real name, but you're going to need a WWE name?
Never.
That's great.
No one ever brought that up.
I don't know if that would happen in 2024.
I don't think it would. And like I said, it was a perfect storm of things that happened that I was brought in at that time period. And it just worked out so well that I wasn't under contract. So I was just me. And then it got to the point where like, I was already me for so long that when they actually signed me, they were like, well, like we can't go back now. We're already too far gone.
Yeah. You can't give you another name.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Was there talk before you became the first ever Triple Crown champion? Or was it just kind of like, this is going to work with the storyline. So, look at this. I got this up and you're the guy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I was like, wait a minute. I think this makes me a Triple Crown champion. Like, oh yeah, it does. But yeah, like, because like, I think I brought up like, because at that time, I held the tag titles. I held the North American title, and Adam held the tag titles with the Undisputed Era and like the Freebird rule and the North American title. So when the match was announced, I was like, "Oh, this like whoever wins is going to be the first first Triple Crown champion." Yeah. They're like, "Oh, wait, yeah, that's true. Oh, we're going to advertise that as well." But yeah, it just happened. And there's something I was super pumped about too.
What's something that's happened in the ring that has hurt a lot but doesn't look like it hurts a lot?
See, most things that hurt a lot for me look like they hurt a lot. So the moment I always go to, there's a moment in my match with Tommaso in New Orleans where he superplexes me off the announce table to the floor. And that bump sucked so much. And stuff came out of me, and you can guess what came out of me. And then I did the same bump kind of against Andrade at TakeOver Philadelphia. And it's like I did like a flip dive off the apron, but like he moved. So I just took the floor straight back. And again, stuff came out of me, and you can guess what came out of me.
Is that just your body's reaction to
like stuff shooting out? Yeah, I think, right? But the funny thing is, like those two matches were rated 5 stars. So what's that tell you? When stuff comes out, we get 5. That's the secret.
I think it's time for you to have another 5-star match.
I know. I don't know if my underwear can take that.
I think at some point, you and Tommaso, I feel like There's going to be some sort of a turn again at some point.
I think I think me and Tommaso have been through so much together in this company that we're really enjoying having the opportunity to show the world DIY, because we never had that chance on a Raw or SmackDown. Like, we had like one match against Revival, then we had like one match against Cesaro and Sheamus in like 2018, 2019. But other than that, like, I genuinely enjoy tag team wrestling. Like, I haven't had a chance to do it that much in a while, and being able to do it again reminds me how much I genuinely enjoy it, especially with a guy I enjoy teaming with. So I'm very excited to see what the future holds for us now on Raw.
So are you turning on him, or is he going to turn on you? I mean,
that is going to be the question at the end of the day, right?
Wow.
But I think we're still going to be good for years. Trust me.
Oh, that match is going to be great. Dude, so good to catch up with you.
You too, buddy.
And congrats on everything.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. It's wild being a dad.
To think back at 2011, and here we are, as dads hanging out now.
Completely. Huh? I mean, we were living somewhere else in completely different stages of our life.
Uh-huh.
And here we are now.
Yep, here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congrats. I end every interview talking about gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big part of my life. I wake up every day, I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for. We do it before we go to bed. What are 3 things you're grateful for?
I'm obviously grateful for Candace. She keeps me sane, and she keeps my life together. I'm obviously grateful for my son, Quill. He is just the best. I'm going to piggyback because I feel like I have more than 3 things.
You put family in number 1.
Family. Oh, family is number 1. Okay. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the health of my family, not just my wife and son and dog, but like my parents. I still have both my parents. Very lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for their health. I'm just grateful for luck as well. I've been incredibly lucky, incredibly blessed with an amazing career, an incredible family, and
I don't know, isn't
incredible life so far.
There's that Thomas Jefferson quote, I think it is, where he says, it's funny, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
It's true.
And I think that you are like a shining example of that. It's not
man.
Luck. It's you've worked your ass off to be where you're at right now. Maybe a little bit of luck.
A little bit of luck. Yeah, here and there.
Harder you work, the luckier you get. That was 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate
Good seeing you again, man.